Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. So, we're here today with some live readings. I said I would be back this week, so welcome. I have a couple of people who have booked in for this session today, and just to let you know how to book a live reading with me today is by going to the description box. So the instructions are in the description box. What you do is you go to the link, you send through the payment. It's $25 per reading. And within the payment, make sure that you submit your place of birth, date of birth, and your time of birth. And then also let me know if you have a question. So we're going to begin with Misty. So Misty was here a couple of days ago, and I said that I would complete Misty's reading in this session. So, Misty, if you're here, hi to you. We're going to be looking at your chart. And if you're not here, right, maybe you're catching up on the replay. Hi, still, you will get it. This is your time essentially. So I'm just going to take note then quickly. And thank you very much, Misty, for booking with me. How are we doing today? How are we doing? So I'm going to share my screen with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Hello. Hi. Welcome. Great for you to join. Hopefully you can book today. Let's see. Hi. Hello to Miss Maris. Hello. Welcome. I am doing well today, thank you. Hello to others who are joining. Hi. You say you're from California. Hello from California. I am in Belfast. So, Misty, you want to know about partnership and marriage. Moon and Chiron in the 7th, and then the North Node and Pluto in the 12th. So if I just get a few timing techniques. And so that would be the 11th house. Okay. I'm just getting a few tools to help me out with timings. Now, we also have here, if I go to, let me see, we've also got, go up. Okay, so we have Gal has also booked. Thank you, Gal. I'm just going to take note here. I also have a Robert who submitted an entry form, but Robert, if you are in the audience, I'm assuming that is how you were directed to my site. You go to the link in the description box and then you send the payment over with your birth information. Unless you do wish to book a longer reading with me, that is also available. But just make sure that you clarify which reading because you've selected a lot of them there. So do let me know. So Misty, I'm just getting a couple of different charts so I can use for the purpose of your reading. Okay. I'm just having a look at your chart. Okay, so Misty, you were asking about so you want me to explain partnership and marriage in your chart. Explain it for you. Right. So let's try and break this down. What we see here is that when we look to the 7th house, you've got the moon and Chiron retrograde in the 7th. The 7th is significant to look at because it is the house that rules partnership. The 7th house can look at marriages, commitments, but also divorces, separations, and endings, right? Even breakups, how relationships end. And also business deals that come to a close, they come to an end. So you kind of think about the 7th house through a lens of how relationships, committed long-term relationships, how they sort of begin and how they unfold versus how they come to a close. So in your case, we notice with Chiron conjunct the moon in Taurus, matters related to relationships are actually quite sensitive, very sensitive, actually. Perhaps for you, Misty, you have experienced, and I don't mean to dive so personally, but then again, maybe this is what you're open to because you did ask the question, and perhaps with all this Scorpio energy, you're willing to go deep. Let's just say that. So, this can suggest that you have experienced a divorce, a pretty challenging divorce throughout your life, or it's that there's a lot of fear and anxiety and deep, deep dread and worry with respect to commitment and marriage in this way. Now, I also want to mention that Uranus is conjunct Venus in Scorpio. So Venus can also look at relationships, attraction, love, beauty. Uranus then is this planet of the unconventional. So it could actually be here that when it comes to you, Misty, your attitudes toward relationships are just, they're different. They're more non-traditional, unconventional. Maybe you prefer relationships where it doesn't have to be so deep. It doesn't have to get so deep. Or maybe it's that you value friendship above all else. There are themes here ultimately to do with different attitudes with respect to relationships. And I also think that with this being Scorpio, so Venus is there is intimacy in this. There is intimacy and there's depth. And there's emotional bonding, the ability to bond on an emotional level. But you see, this is also where these complications come in. And we see this with these, these oppositions between the sevens and the first house. We even notice here that, of course, Uranus right now is in Taurus. And so it's actually opposing your natal Venus, and you have been going through what's known as a Uranus opposition. So when we kind of take all of these moving pieces into consideration, it could be that things are just really changing on this level that you could not have predicted, right? The unexpected, the unexplainable at times as well, things just happening in a flash, things just happening in an instant. And if I was to even talk about this in a very sensitive way, there could be a great deal of pain here, right? Pain, suffering, especially with respect to a separation, possibly the loss of a partner or the loss of a loved one, right? And we even further see these potential themes here with Pluto conjunct the North Node in Libra in the 12th house. So I think in this way, a big part of your story, a big part of your life path here, Misty, has been that of going within the healing process, grief, having to address your pain, having to sit with uncomfortable emotions. But hey, this stuff could also be linked to that of fear, anxiety, worry, distress. And perhaps such worry and distress are somehow tied in with previous relationships. So we can see here perhaps you addressing the subconscious themes, the subconscious patterns that have occurred throughout your life when it comes to relating, when it comes to connecting, when it comes to people getting close. So this could even be, for instance, the loss of a loved one. And then such experiences were very traumatic for you. And then there seems to be something about how it is that you connect and relate with others moving forward. Perhaps you've even went to therapy. You've done a lot of soul searching. A lot of inner work has been performed on your part, right? Perhaps you've really looked deep within yourself on a very spiritual level in this regard. So ultimately here, I think for you, Misty, that relationships are not so how do we say, black and white. They're not so straightforward. They are full, and they have been full of their ups and downs, and you learning lessons, it seems, repeatedly. But I think this is also about the amount of wisdom that is gained through these experiences of yours, and perhaps even using your knowledge and using your wisdom as a way to help others, right? Chiron conjunct the moon there in the 7th house could very well suggest you acting as this comforting presence within other people's lives as a way to assist them, right? To assist them with their own healing. And even Venus, of course, Venus would be the dispositor of that Taurus energy, and that's across there in Scorpio. And Scorpio, oh my gosh, you certainly go to the depths with others. And there is that point of view that you bring into the equation with Uranus conjunct Venus that seems to be able to make those bigger patterns. You form those larger connections. And then perhaps making, earning an income, right? Making money from your skills in this way. Perhaps becoming a trained professional, right? Really becoming this trained professional when it comes to assisting others. We even further see this with Mars being the chart ruler there, and that's in Leo, and it's conjunct the midheaven. So there seems to be, I feel, with that conjunction, something about your leadership abilities. Of course, there is still this T-square, this fixed T-square going on between the fixed signs. But I think the importance in this is using Mars as a way to resolve any conflict or disagreements, using Mars as a place of, okay, what can we physically do in order to reach some type of agreement here? And perhaps a part of this has involved you being confident, you staying true to what it is that you want. And then at the same time, welcoming a bit of that Aquarius energy opposite and seeing that Aquarius has something to share in terms of being humanitarian or providing a different perspective. So that was yours, Misty. I hope I was able to shed some light on your chart. Thank you so much for booking with me. So, Gal is next. And I also want to say, Bianca, thank you so much for booking. And if you are in the audience, Bianca, I want to know, do you have a question at all? In the meantime, I am going to now enter in Gal's information. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hello to MLS. Hello, Danielle. Hi. I hope you are having a lovely Friday so far. Right, so let me just enter in the new information. Okay. Let me see here. If Gal, is Gal in the audience at all? And of course, Gal, you can send me this via email, which is hannahselsewhere@outlook.com. But what I need is your birth city. If you have a city or a town, which city or town were you born in? And Bianca, thank you very much. I'm going to note that. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Right. So let's have a look. So you want to know future marriage partner. Well, marriage partner, what will your marriage partner look like? Okay. Okay. So relationships, there seems to be a theme going on. Many people, well, a few people wanting to know about relationships. Radio. Okay, so 20. Ooh, yeah, 23. Okay. Right. So when we look at your chart here, gal. Oh. Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. Sorry. My mistake, but we're good. We're good. So when we look at your chart here, gal, we notice that you have Gemini in the 7th. The sun is there and Venus is also there. So in terms of the type of committed partner, marriage partner you attract, this is what the 7th house can show us, by the way. It's a house of attraction. It's also a house of the shadow. But the types of qualities you may attract into your life is that of someone who is quite intellectual, they're witty, quite funny, expressive, they can express themselves, they can even be somewhat entertaining, and they have so much to share. Someone who keeps you engaged. And I think that you like this. You are actually attracted to partners who are engaging, right? They can keep you mentally stimulated. There's always something new to learn from them, right? The reason why I'm saying this is because Venus is also there. See, Venus is also about attraction, it's about love, partnership. So to have Venus also in Gemini, this suggests that you enjoy, you like people, partners who have so much to share. And they're quite changeable too. Someone who is flexible, adaptable, people who can come up with this bright idea and you're like, yes, okay, let's do it, let's go. So this is what we're seeing here when it comes to the relationship department. However, there's more to this, because what we also see is how Venus is opposite the ascendant, the sun is also opposite the moon. Basically, this Gemini energy is opposite Sagittarius there. And we also notice that Venus is making a conjunction with Mars in Cancer in the 8th house. So let's try to break this down. The Sagittarius influence, the Sagittarius energy in the 1st house suggests to me that you are someone who is quite adventurous. You actually may be quite, you might find travel to be comforting. You might need to travel, like you feel this emotional need to want to not just travel, but to try new things, to explore, to expand your mind. I mean, to have Sun in Gemini with the ascendant and the moon in Sagittarius, so much curiosity, right? There's a lot going on mentally, there's a lot going on spiritually, and you just want to grow and broaden your horizons, right? There's that great deal of expansion with Jupiter, right? And the reason why I'm saying Jupiter is because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So when we think about the oppositions, we actually see, okay, there is the part of this where you're attracted to people who are engaging and, mentally engaging. I just want to say mentally stimulating. But there's also this part of you that seeks freedom and you want to explore. So what this can perhaps suggest is that with this opposition, it can just seem like there's just a lot of movement, maybe too much movement. Now, what this could suggest is that, maybe when it comes to partnership, there is that sense of okay, I have tried to connect with such and such, and this is how we relate, this is how we get on. But you know what? I'm open to exploring other options, or, just being able to date a little bit and just kind of see, right, who do I relate with most, and who do I get on with? And it's that curiosity, but it's also this part of you that kind of says, I don't have to make a decision right away, and that's okay, right? However, I think a possible challenge in your life could be that of actually making the commitments, right? Making a commitment, choosing, okay, this is for the long haul. See, the thing about it is that you've got Jupiter, which is your chart ruler, and that's in Taurus and it's conjunct Saturn. So I do think that this is suggesting that there is a part of you that can commit, that can be stable. But I think there's just many um, different views, different opinions, different things to try, right? First. And so I think this is a process. This is also so much of a process of learning and trying to see who is a good fit, who's a good match, and having even that curiosity about you. But here's the other thing. Mars is conjunct Venus in Cancer, and then Mercury is creating a sextile to Saturn. The eighth house is about intimacy. The eighth house is emotional bonding. So here we see that there's another part of you that's craving that, craving it. But here's the thing about it is, who is willing to dive deep enough? And this is a process. This is a journey for you. Why is this a journey? Why is this something that you're going to try to figure out throughout your life? Because the North Node is in Cancer. It's there in the eighth house. And it's saying there's something to learn from this process. But there's also something to give. There's also something to share in the exchange. What are you sharing? The South Node in Capricorn. You're sharing the part of you that can commit. But it's the commitment you see that comes from your ability to have that freedom to explore. Okay, so that was yours, gal. Thank you very much. Now we're going to be moving on to Bianca. And we also have Natalie. Thank you so much, Natalie, for booking this evening. I hope you find your reading to be helpful. And again, thank you, gal. I hope you find your reading to be helpful. Now, I do want to also mention that these are quick readings, of course. And if you are interested in booking a more detailed, a more in-depth reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Okay, so I'm going to now enter the information for Bianca. Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you. And hello to Lisa and to everyone else who's just joining. Just to let you know that in order to book a reading with me, you go to the link in the description box and you send through your time of birth, date of birth, and place of birth in the box when you're submitting payment. And any question you have. Um, Uh-huh. Yep. 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 Okay, great. Right, so I'm going to share my screen. Oh, interesting, gal. Okay. He resonated, and to hear it from a different perspective, it can be useful, can't it, to hear the information from an objective perspective, right? So I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best as well. Hello, Sorsha. Welcome. Welcome back. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. This is for Bianca's reading. Thank you, Bianca. So, Bianca, you want to know about love and relationships too. Right, so if I just get... I always like to look up annual perfections. Let me see. Na, 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 na. Okay. All right. Okay, Bianca, so you want to know about love and relationships. Okay. Something interesting that's sticking out at me within your chart is actually to do with the house of love. Okay, we talked about relationships in the other readings. Of course, there's only so much time we have within a quick reading. But we talked about the seventh house a great deal within those charts. But something stood out to me within your chart, within the house of romance and love, right? And that is the fifth house. And we noticed that the secondary progressed Sun, Mercury, and Venus are all in Libra in the fifth house. So there does seem to be a huge shift in focus, a huge shift in perspective and priorities, may I say, where it does appear as if you are focusing a great deal on partnership and how you relate to others, how you connect with them. And the other thing about it is that the secondary progressed moon, let me check my degrees. Whew, it is just about to move into Libra anytime now. It is going to be moving into Libra. So for the next 2.5 years or so, for you, Bianca, it appears as if there's also an emotional need. There is an emotional need to want to connect on this relationship, cooperative, give and take level, where you feel like, hey, I'm resonating. Hey, I'm feeling what this other person is bringing. And I think that you tend to be attracted to these lovers who can be diplomatic, charming, lovers who can certainly say all the right things, sweet talkers, romantics. But I think at the same time, we also have to consider the fact that you have so much Virgo, natal Virgo energy, right? So you have the Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus, which would be the ruler of the fifth, Venus in Virgo. So this is still very much saying that when it comes to relationships, you like to know where you stand. You can be quite particular. You have certain standards, let's just say. And the other thing about it that I want to add is Jupiter. So you've got Sagittarius in the seventh, right? So this Sagittarius energy in the seventh can suggest that when it comes to attraction, when it comes to relationships, you tend to attract these committed partnerships, these long-term partnerships where there's adventure, where there's exploration, perhaps meeting a significant other whilst traveling, or it's someone from a different country coming to your country and then you meet in that way. And then with Jupiter, which is the ruler of the seventh, being in Leo, perhaps this is also indicating the part of partners, the side to partners that can be super expressive. What I'm actually getting from this, if we also mix in the Libra stuff with the secondary progressions, what I'm getting from this is you attracting partners who almost promise you the world, right? They promise you all the good things. They come across as charming. They come across as warm and really affectionate. But I do wonder, is there a challenge here when it comes to the long term, when it comes to the furthering of a bond, the furthering of a commitment, right? Because, see, we also notice that Chiron is in Cancer. And then we see here that in the opposite sign, we've got Capricorn in the 8th with Saturn there. And so we seem to see here some lessons, obstacles, challenges to overcome, delays when it comes to the real intimate, committed stuff. And perhaps there has been a challenge, there have been challenges throughout your life within these areas. And at the same time, Moon is in Cancer, opposing Uranus. So there's a bit of a breaking free quality, this part of it where perhaps it's difficult to get too close, or certain partners you attract find it hard to really open up. There's this emotional detachment. This stuff is going on. And so I think that with the secondary progressed Moon entering Libra, as this new sort of phase of your life begins, I think this is going to be a time period where you really start to question a lot of this stuff, right? Because that secondary progressed Moon is going to create this square, like a T-square with your natal moon and then with Uranus as well. So over the next, I would say, few months or so, it's a lot of questioning, a lot of asking yourself what you're willing to put up with. Boundary setting, knowing your worth, knowing what it is that you stand for, especially even with the South Node right now, transiting your 5th house. So with the South Node, it's communicating, okay, when can you lean maybe way too much toward the people pleasing, way too much toward the indecision, and how can you welcome greater decision, the ability to cut through things, and the ability to initiate, to stand up and say what it is that you want. The last thing I want to say for you is just to tie this in together, because there's an interesting connection. You have Mars in Gemini, but you see the secondary progressed Mars, it has been retrograde throughout your life. I'm saying this because really the secondary progress Mars, by the time you're 30, it should be a bit further on, you know? So I'm assuming that it was retrograde for a period of time. So I think with the fact that now the secondary progress Mars is direct, it's saying that there was a period of your life where there was this hesitation. There were delays in terms of how you took action, how you would communicate, for example, how you would initiate within a discussion. But now that the secondary progress Mars is now direct, this is suggesting to me that you're ready, that it's go time. So I'd be interested to see how things will continue to unfold for you, especially given the fact that the North Node is in Aries, while simultaneously the secondary progress Mars is in your first house, sort of leading the way forward. Okay, Bianca, so that was yours. Thank you so much. And now we move on to Natalie. I hope, Bianca, that you find that to be helpful. Hello to everyone else joining. Oh, what chart? Oh, hold on a second. Need to go back. You say you've never seen that chart before. Let me double check my notes. So I've got your birthday correctly. I've got your time of birth correctly. I also have your location correctly. Now, I was using the whole sign system. Is that a system you use? It's the whole sign system. Maybe you use Placitus. Oh, okay. You said it was spot on. Okay. I did get the birth information correct, didn't I? Let me hold on. No. January, February, March. This is an interesting one. Okay, it's the 12th of June. Oh my goodness, Bianca. Well, that was my mistake. I will do the 12th of June right now. But it is kind of interesting because you're saying that it was spot on. So let's see if this was just a spot on. Oh, Bianca. I do apologize. Yeah. I am sorry, Bianca. It's all, we'll do it again. We will do it again. These things happen sometimes, can't they? Oh dear. Right. To be fair, it's never happened before. It's the first time this has happened. Okay. So let's go back. Let's go back. Dear me. Now, June, not September, June. All right. Oh, let's do it again. It's all fun, eh? Okay, but my mistake. I apologize. Completely my fault. All right. So, my screen. Sure. Right. Let's do it again. All right. So, let's take a different approach. Let's take a different approach to love and relationships. So I do find it interesting that you said it was spot on with the other one. But here's the thing. There's still a few similar themes going on within these charts, right? Yeah, okay. There's a couple of months apart in terms of the birth information. But what we want to look at firstly is the fact that we see that, okay, you've got Chiron and Jupiter both there in Cancer, and they are making these oppositions then to this Capricorn energy in the 12th. And we also notice then that what this can suggest is there's some like emotional healing for you, emotional healing to do with connection, support. Perhaps these things have really taken a hit on your health. So your health has been impacted in terms of your emotional wellness, your emotional well-being. And so there's a lot of this inner work, I think, that has been unfolding for you throughout your life. And a lot of spiritual wisdom and lessons that can come from such matters, even when we think about how Jupiter and Chiron are making trines to Pluto retrograde in Scorpio in the 10th house. And so they're all 15 degrees. So I can't help but think that a big part of your purpose or your life's work, your life's mission has been so much about how it is that you support others through their own emotions, through their own emotional turmoil. And as well, gaining a position of some type of authority or power, right? Really owning it, really bringing like a lot of passion and drive and determination into your professional life. So I just wanted to mention that. But then we also noticed that, so the fifth house arena, so the fifth house can look at love and relationships. So you've got the Sun and Mercury there in Gemini, and then you also have Leo in the seventh house. Sun is the ruler of the seventh house. So there are these changeable qualities, let's just say, when it comes to love and romance. We see that that you are attracted to lovers who are quite curious and alert, lovers who can keep you on your toes. There's a sense of even mystery to them. But here, this is interesting because I was talking earlier about this stuff to do with Jupiter and Leo and how this can suggest attracting people who they make these promises that perhaps they don't live up to, right? And it can be where it's a show, it can feel like it's just all about charming you, etc. But there seems to be similar themes to do with these qualities within this chart. So for instance, with Leo in the seventh, it could be where when it comes to partnerships, there is just this sense of potential arrogance or entitlement partners can give off. They can even act quite domineering or bossy, or it can be all about them, right? Me. And you may actually put up with these types of partners. And then at the same time, the secondary progressed Venus is in the fifth house. So this is where we're noticing these sort of themes to do with romance and charm as well, right? Like I was saying with the Libra stuff, very interesting. But the North Node is in Aquarius, and then the South Node is in Leo. So I think this is about you being able to recognize whenever you are too dependent, too reliant on these relationships where it is just them focused. It's so egocentric, right? It's almost like the types of people you bring in and that you put up with, it's all just centered around themselves. But I think the North Node says, how about you try to bring this more to a place of how can we do this together? It's more about how can we relate here and think more about the bigger stuff. How can we even come from a place of being somewhat caring and the humanitarian stuff to do with Aquarius, the part of Aquarius that really tries to like come from a place of I can hear where you're coming from, share your perspective. It's more than the self, basically. Even the moon being in Aquarius suggests that there is this need within you, right? There's a need within you to want to relate with people in a way where, okay, you're sharing something and then the other person is sharing something. And there's just more of this exchange. And I think that this first house, seventh house neural axis is suggesting this give and take quality, right? There's some type of equilibrium. So similar to what I was saying earlier in the other chart, this is a process, okay? This is a process, especially with the North Node there. And let me see here. Bianca. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I just want to mention to do with your chart. Okay, well, Venus is also in Taurus. So you're quite slow. I think you're quite slow and gradual when it comes to love. And I think as well, a big part of it is feeling supported, feeling comforted. Now, at the same time, Venus is making an opposition to Pluto retrograde. And so there seems to be some power struggles when it comes to relating, when it comes to feeling comfortable. These power struggles, battles of will as well could very well happen. And then even with the T square and these fixed signs, we certainly see this. The strong views, the stubbornness, the unwillingness to move, the unwillingness to budge. Now, these matters, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the other stuff I was talking about to do with health, to do with career. Maybe these matters are also linked in with work, linked in with career. So, this could be, for example, having to really see where it is that there can be greater fairness or greater compromise with respect to career. How much time you're giving, how much time the other person or other people are giving, how much energy is being taken from you. You know, maybe it's that certain roles you've taken on, they have just drained your energy. And perhaps that's noticed by family, by friends, by loved ones. There could be even some like denial over this stuff. So there's a bigger sort of picture to this, right? There are bigger themes at play. But I think to even bring this to a point of the moon, right? So the moon can act as this resolver. I think the moon can highlight you you reflecting upon how you can come more from a place of, okay, like I can see where other people are coming from. I can maybe welcome other people's perspectives, other people's opinions. Even that South Node in Leo can suggest the unconscious part of you, the part that you don't necessarily see within relationships, where it's more about what you want, but there's not enough sort of compromise or room to kind of explore, okay, how can we come at this together? I think essentially you're learning a lot of these spiritual lessons with regard to partnership and how it is that you can unify with another, unify with people in general, and to be open in this regard. And I do think, with so much of that Gemini, so the Sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, even Venus or Mercury is making the trine, to the ascendant. I think that you do have this part of you, right? There's a part of you that can be very curious and is willing to learn new things. And just to finish this off, Jupiter will be entering Gemini on the 25th of May for the next year. So that will transit your fifth house. We could see some change, expansion, and growth when it comes to the love department. Bianca, for you. Okay, that was yours, Bianca. Thank you so much for understanding. Thank you for being so patient with me. And I do apologize about that mix up with your birth month, but thank you so much. Okay, so now we are moving on to Natalie. Thank you for booking. And come out. And then we have Renee as well. Thank you, Renee, for joining. Thank you for booking. Double check my info. 29. Yeah. Okay, so we have the 12th. Yep. Thank you, Bianca. Even just one more thing, the Gemini stuff, I want to say, um, Gemini energy can also be all talk, right? So, in terms of romance and love, maybe it's important to just recognize what's all talk, right? I think for you, given the fact that you have Mars and Aries as well, you also want to see action. You want to see action to lovers' words. It's not just about, oh, well, I'm talking about it. You want to actually see people doing something about it. So, okay, so let's see. Natalie, let's do yours. Let's have a look. AM. So the only way to book a reading is via the link in the description. Okay. So you want to know, Natalie, about career? Okay, career stuff you want to know about. All right. So that would be 8th to the 9th. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. And then if I grab a couple of timing techniques to help me out. Okay, so for you, Natalie, let's try and break this down. So what I find interesting about your chart is how the secondary progressed, ascendant, Mercury, and Sun have all moved into Capricorn there in the second house. So the second house can tell us about our resources, how we earn money, how we make a living. And Capricorn is the sign of climbing a mountain, climbing our mountain of success. It is a sign that is about the long game, putting in the hours, putting in the hard work, being dedicated and disciplined. So, with these energies mixed together, you can see here that over the years, you have certainly showcased these qualities with regard to how you earn, how you spend. Budgeting could be a big thing, right? You becoming even this mastered person when it comes to financial matters. However, this is also where we notice the struggles, the hardships, the uphill battles, especially because Uranus and Neptune are there in the second. And these secondary progressions, they are coming and they are joining up with these other planets. So, with these planets in the second house, it seems as if matters are not so straightforward. It seems as if there's a lack of stability. There's a lack of feeling grounded. There's a part of it where you don't feel quite sure or quite comfortable. Even the second house looks at our comforts, our physical security, our survival needs. So such matters are being challenged right now. And then we also throw into the mix this Mars opposition and the moon as well in Cancer, saying that you are also feeling it, right? You're feeling the stresses, you're feeling these points of, oh my gosh, things just are not moving along. I'm feeling the pressure, right? The pressure is on, it seems, for you, Natalie. But we want to explore more of this, don't we? We want to think about, for example, how Saturn, which is the ruler of the secondary progressed Capricorn energy, Saturn is in Aquarius, and then at the same time, Venus is also in Aquarius. So Saturn in this position can suggest that when it comes to your career path right now, of course, Saturn can tell us something about our career path. It can tell us something about what we're building, what we're working on, what we're committed to. Saturn here can suggest that these things are tied to the likes of the impacts that you make within your communities, right? Your local communities. Thinking about your local area, your neighborhood, how it is that you make consistent changes within these areas. Looking more so at the surroundings, right? Your close circles, your close inner surroundings. And even possibly stepping into a position that requires a great deal of dedication to education, right? So educating others, educating students, joining particular clubs where it is about training yourself, educating yourself further, but finding a program or a course that is more so about connecting with like minds, finding the people who you can talk to, relate to. And this is certainly not an easy process, is it? Right? This is a process of overcoming obstacles. This is a process of showing dedication and being disciplined with Saturn. And what I also want to mention is that there does seem to be this enjoyment that you get from having conversations with like-minded people. This could even be where you earn money from joining these groups, right? Being a group coordinator, for example, being a particular, it's like a manager, right? A project manager perhaps could be another route, or looking at events, right? Event planning could be a big part of this as well. And we're also throwing into the mix Jupiter. We're throwing into the mix Jupiter because Jupiter is the chart ruler, right? So you've got a Sagittarius rising, you've got the sun also in Sagittarius, the North Node is also there, and then Jupiter's in Libra, and then with the midheaven being in Libra, the ruler of the midheaven is Venus. So what does this all collectively suggest? Well, I think the part of Libra and Jupiter says, hey, time to grow, time to expand my networks, time to broaden my view when it comes to groups and clubs, time to get mingling with people, time to get drawing connections within groups and seeing, okay, who can I be introduced to? How can I innovate as well within groups, right? Jupiter is within the Uranus decan. Venus is also within the Uranus decan. There's something inventive about this. There's something very creative about this. It's like, okay, let's explore ideas. Let's see what we can do here, how we can grow, how we can expand as a company, how we can grow as an industry. And even throwing into this, of course, all the Sagittarius, right? The North Node especially being there with the sun in Sagittarius. This is big leadership energy. This is the type of energy that says, I want what I want, and I want it now. But you got to go exploring. You got to reach out. You got to try things outside of your comfort zone. And oh my goodness, can you be and remain in your comfort zone? Especially whenever you're feeling the heat, whenever you're feeling the pressures of the world, right? All the Cancer energy. I think that there's a lot going on beneath the surface for you, Natalie. And it's an interesting one because the eighth house is activated for you this year, right? So in annual perfections, the eighth house is activated. So there's actually a lot of inner work that's being done. Not to say that it's a bad thing, by the way, but this is very transformative for you because this is looking at your own fears. What holds you back, right? Mars is also retrograde in your chart. Yep. Mars is retrograde in the chart. So there's this part of you that's sort of like, I'm not sure, I'm afraid of this and and it's also, I think, about holding space for your sensitivities, for the part of you that hesitates or withdraws. I think you can be very sensitive. That's not a bad thing. I just want to say it's not a bad thing. But how can you use your sensitivity as a strength? How can you use it as a way to perhaps assist others or be like this sort of guide for others, a healer for others? And this is the thing I want to mention as we close this off is all this Sagittarius energy to me suggests big mentor energy. This is teaching. This is sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge with the world. But that requires, at the same time, effort. Why? Saturn is also making that sextile to the ascendant. And then Venus is also making that sextile to Mercury in Sagittarius, suggesting that the learning that you're doing, the education stuff that I talked about earlier, they are linked to that of how it is that you spread your knowledge and your wisdom and your truth outwardly with the world. And I think the North Node especially highlights that mission, that journey for you. And at the same time, Chiron is making that trine to the Sun and the North Node, suggesting that there's some wounds there, right? There's some wounds there to do with self-expression, to do with confidence, to do with self-assurance. This is about believing in yourself, the belief that you have in your capabilities to be somewhat more of a mentor, to project yourself outwardly to the world, right? And to say, hey, this is me, this is what I'm sharing, this is what I know, let me share it with you. So I think the North Node is also suggesting that this indeed is a process for you, Natalie. Okay, so that's yours. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you very much. And now we are moving on to Renee. Thank you, Renee, for booking, and thank you so much, Natalie, for booking. Is Renee in the audience? Because I need your time of birth. I didn't get your time of birth. Oh, good. That's good. I'm glad, Natalie. Thank you. I don't have anything from you, Sorsha. I don't see anything anyway. And again, is Renee. So Renee, who just booked, I need your time of birth. And you can, of course, just send that to me at hannahselsewhere@outlook.com. You can send your time of birth that way, if that's what you're most... Oh, perfect. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. And do you have a question for me, Renee? Even just for you, Natalie, just I want to say that you do have Virgo in the 10th house, right? And the second day progressed moon is in Virgo, and it's making these trines to the Capricorn energy. So I think even for the next year or so, it can be useful just to think, okay, any sort of improvements you want to make, how can you reflect on the next step when it comes to work, your services, just allow yourself to kind of feel through that process at the same time, given the fact that it's the moon that's involved. So anyway, right, so let's move on to Renee. I'm just going to share my screen. So you want to know about career and general. Okay. Okay, no problem. And if anybody does want to book with me today, I am open to two more slots, and then we're going to call it an evening. 2 more slots are available. Sure. Okay, so Renee, we are exploring some career stuff and just in general, right? I'm just getting a couple of timing tools. Okay. All right, so for you, Renee, interesting. All right, so you have here this Virgo rising, and we also noticed that you have Sun, Saturn, and Mercury all in Aquarius in the 6th house. So Mercury, of course, would be the ruler, so your chart ruler. And what we're noticing here is that you are a highly dedicated person when it comes to your studies. And I think that your studies are also a big part of what you do for work, what you do as a job. So this could be, for example, you training to become like an expert within a particular field of study. And that field of study could very well involve the likes of humanitarianism, counseling, social work, technology, science, and even community work. So with Mercury making that conjunction to Saturn, it's about, okay, time to focus, time to commit. You can be very good, I think, at really running projects through until completion. And then we also throw into the mix the Virgo energy that says you can break things down. There's something systematic happening here. There's a system, there's a way that you organize things, there's a way that you do things. Perhaps you have perfectionist tendencies. And maybe at the same time, with Saturn making that opposition to Chiron there, these perfectionist qualities are also to be addressed in a way. Because I think that the Chiron part of it says, allow yourself to play. Thinking about play and fun and pleasure, entertainment, enjoyment, seeing where and when you can take yourself perhaps a bit too seriously. But I think at the same time, using these parts of you as a way to assist others, like taking what you learn as a way to help other people, right? This could be where, with especially Chiron being in Leo and then the activations to the Aquarius energy, it says, okay, helping young people, being within a support group, helping people who are struggling with their confidence, shining a light on the positive attributes and qualities and strengths of other people. And again, it could be people that are younger or people who are struggling themselves, right? Even helping victims, for example, right? Victims who have been hurt, and then you stepping into this position where, you get a lot from that role. You get a lot from helping others, being of service to others. We especially see this with the Virgo rising, and then the fact that the secondary progressed moon right now is in Virgo. And it's going to start to conjunct the ascendant for you as well. So I think there seems to be this great deal of care and support that's rising to the surface for you. And it's making you feel very strongly about the changes you want to make in the world, the differences you want to see, the impacts you want to make in other people's lives. But here's the other thing. Moon is in Cancer in the 11th house. And then Mars is also in Cancer in the 11th house. It is retrograde, but these energies in the 11th highlight that there is a difference that you're craving, that you're seeking to make within the world. And I think a big part of that difference is about how can we feel here, right? You're the person in the group who you really consider other people's feelings and their sensitivities. And you try to really highlight that, no, this is a strength. This is something to be celebrated. This is important. And even if people are suffering, even if they're in pain, it's like, feel through that. And I think this can also suggest, with Mars there being in Cancer, how much of an emotional leader you are within groups. This sort of impact that you make on other people's lives around you, perhaps you don't fully recognize them, you don't fully see them, but people feel them. People feel them. And what I also want to mention is that the midheaven is in Gemini, and then of course Mercury would be the ruler of the midheaven, again back to Aquarius, right? So there is this part of it where you're very innovative, you're inventive, you're creative. Maybe this is suggesting that when it comes to your career, you do like to dabble into different things, like you do a little bit on the side here, a little bit here. You do this particular role or take on this particular role during the day and then something else during the evening. You can have two things going on at once or a few things going on at a time, but just to be cautious with this energy of, taking on too much, right? Even just be cautious as Jupiter does start to enter Gemini around May 2025. Cautious of the amount, May 2024, my mistake. Jupiter will enter Gemini May 2024. It's the end of May. So do be cautious from that period on for the next year of spreading yourself too wide. Okay, where you're taking on this project, just try to maybe your very best, try to center yourself and be realistic with yourself about what you can physically take on. And even I do want to say that the North Node is in Sagittarius, and there's something here about privacy, home, family, right? So perhaps a part of your life path is also about inner exploration. It's also about the type of aspirations you have when it comes to home and family, and how you wish to grow within these areas as well. And then, even with Jupiter being the ruler of that North Node, that's in Libra, the secondary progress ascendant is in Libra. So, there is also this part of you right now that's seeking to want to join together with others, to collaborate, to share, to have this exchange. There's the give and take. Even Mercury, the secondary progress Mercury, is in Pisces. So there's also that part of it where perhaps you're following more of those spiritual paths, or you're learning about spiritual subjects, or you're tapping more into things that are related to like psychic matters or intuitive matters. Or maybe there's a great interest in things that are beautiful and artistic, right? With Pisces, and then we think about Libra being beautiful as well. But the last thing I want to say for you then, Renee, is you are going through this. So you've just turned 31. Happy birthday, by the way. Well, that would have been about a month ago, so a bit late. But with you turning 31, this means the eighth house is being activated. You've got Venus there in the eighth. So we could see significant changes then when it comes to how you earn a living, right? Money matters, financial matters, but it's more so about managing other people's finances and their resources, given the fact that it's in the eighth house. Okay, Renee, that was yours. Thank you so much. Sorsha, we have you. Thank you. You've been booked in. Thank you, Sorsha. And I need your information. Thank you, Renee. I hope you find it to be helpful. So I need, Sorsha, your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. I'm glad you got there in the end. So I need that information for this reading. If you have it, if you're more comfortable, you can always send it to me via hannahselsewhere@outlook.com. And just to say to everybody else, we have one more slot available. One more for this evening. If anyone is wanting to take that slot, just to let you know. And then after that, I will close the readings. So I need that information from you, Sorsha, please. Okay. So is that the 10th of September? Is that right? And do you have a question? Okay. Purpose and career. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I do have one more slot for this evening, but if not, that's all good. And this could very well be the last reading today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you, Sorsha. I'm glad that you got sorted in the end. Okay. So you want to know about things like career, purpose, life lessons. Well, when we think about life lessons, we want to consider Gemini, right? So let me see here. I just want to check your annual perfections. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. So you're 21, Sorsha. And so this means that doesn't look like the chart you have screenshotted on your phone. Let me check birth information with you. 10th of September, 2002. Yeah, 3:03 a.m. And then I have the location here. I've put it directly on. Yeah. So we've got the correct information. Now, this is the whole sign system. Maybe use a different system. You may use Placidus because that seems to be the default system. Right, okay. Okay, well, I'm going to be using the whole sign system for your reading. Is that okay to go ahead? Okay, it's a different system you're using. Okay, well, just looking here at your annual perfections. So the 10th house is being activated for you because you're 21. And so the 10th house can show us information about our career, about our life path, about our purpose. You have Taurus there in the 10th. So this is about you being patient, being consistent when it comes to career. And this is also about having a comfortable career. Now, this is not necessarily, it doesn't have to be where it's career, right? This could just be where it's a comfortable lifestyle. It's a comfortable way of living. You feel supported, you feel secure, you feel stable. These matters, they matter to you. But of course, because you're 21, these very things are coming up quite a bit, right? They're quite an area of significance for you. But we also want to explore other parts of this because right now in the sky, Uranus and Jupiter are both in Taurus, transiting your 10th house. So there have been these unexpected shifts, these unpredictable changes to do with this path, this trajectory that you're on. And I think as well, Jupiter has been ushering in these lessons to do with patience, taking your time, slowing down, appreciating what you already have. Where is it that you feel blessed and secure from within? this is a good opportunity for you to really try and focus on the long haul, on the long term. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that Jupiter is going to move into Gemini, and that's going to be on the 25th of May of this year for the next year. So when you turn 22, right, so from September onwards, the 11th house will be activated. And then we see here that Jupiter will have entered your 11th, the North Node is there, and Saturn is there. So there really are a lot of life lessons to do with friendship, community, teamwork, character building within groups, showing up consistently within particular organizations or industries. But Jupiter is going to add the expansive quality. Jupiter says, okay, growth. Okay, more of this, more of the group stuff, more of the networking stuff, more of the being able to communicate, socialize. I can see you perhaps taking things to a whole other level when it comes to your group associations and your group involvements. And I can also see this as you striving to want to progress, want to improve when it comes to organizations and companies. See, Saturn here is about the long term. Saturn is this planet of maturity and responsibility and dedication. And Saturn says, hey, when it comes to this grip stuff, I want to be an authority. I want to establish myself. I want to become an expert. So this is a part of the journey for you. Your Saturn return will not be for many years to come, right? So 9 or so years. I mean, it's a good while away. It's a good time period of, right, okay, see what's coming up here to do with grips and clubs, because it could very well be that these matters actually feel a bit restricted for you. They feel like there's a hardship, there's a difficulty, there's a challenge. Where do I go from here? What do I do? Even when we look at this further, you have a night chart, right? So this means that the sun is below the horizon. So this means as well that Saturn is a challenging spot for you. And Saturn is there in Gemini, and it's saying time to show some resilience and integrity when it comes to the group associations and finding your place within the group. The North Node is also saying, okay, take that path, lead the way, show courage. And at the same time, the South Node is in Sagittarius, and it's there with Pluto. You know, Pluto is quite close. So I think that this is looking at the part of you that has really shown yourself in terms of your hobbies, what you enjoy, thinking about entertainment, going out, just having fun, perhaps even going a little bit too overboard when it comes to having fun. But I think still this is looking at these qualities of play and fun and enjoyment, and even the intensities with such matters, how you can go to extremes. But I think as you do start to really like come into your 20s onwards into your 30s and 40s and so on, I think that this is about you welcoming other parts of your life that say, okay, how can I be responsible? How can I hold myself accountable within my group associations? Now, we also want to mention, of course, that Venus, so Venus is in Scorpio. So there is a part of this where you feel very intensely about things, about your relationships, right? Even Venus is making that conjunction to the moon. I think you can feel very intensely about the feedback you receive from others. There's a real passion that drives what you do. And I think as well, this looks at how you go beyond the superficial and you want depth. You want that rawness, that realness when it comes to relating with others. And I think such matters have been somehow tied to your childhood and your upbringing. And maybe as well, a part of this is then linked in with your career path or what you choose to do in terms of how you make a living. It's going beyond just the niceties and the polite ways of doing things, and really seeking to know others on a deeper, much deeper level. I mean, we even see that you have this grand Earth trine, right? You have Moon in Libra, you've got Saturn in Gemini, you've got Uranus in Aquarius. This grand Earth trine says that you have so many gifts to share in terms of socializing and communicating, but these gifts, they also require effort. They require some consistency on your part. You know, grand trines can at times showcase a type of, why bother? That'll get done another time. But I think that what you're going to learn is that it's important to use your gifts of socializing. And we also want to mention, of course, about this, that the midheaven is in Aries. And so Mars would be the ruler there. So Mars is in Virgo, the sun is in Virgo. So I think that this can suggest you earning money from a niche, earning money from your ability to make precise changes to things, seeing what details are being overlooked at times. So I think it's a learning, it's a matter of learning, it's a matter of improving and seeing what practical changes you can make. Even just to finish this off, Mars is making that trine to Chiron in Capricorn in the 6th. So there can also be some sensitivities here to do with organization, to do with work here, right? And so perhaps there's also a great deal of healing involved. But even just to really finish this off, I mean, the ascendant is in Leo, the Jupiter's also in Leo, conjunct the ascendant. So if anything, what you have to offer the world is confidence, is you unapologetically expressing yourself and sharing, right? And being able to enter new opportunities with this enthusiasm, with this positivity. I get from you that you have this never give up energy, and it really shines. It shines. You come across, I think, as someone who is very warm and affectionate, as someone who is willing to involve others within the group. And that is so perhaps obvious to others when they meet you for the first time. Okay, Sorsha, so that was yours. So I think that's everyone. I think we got through everybody this evening. So if anybody has or would like to book a reading, then you can. This would be the last. Very enthusiastic. Love it, Sorsha. Love it. If you would like to book a reading, you just go to the link below, you send through the $25, you put in your time of birth, place of birth, date of birth. Make sure you put all that information in, and you will be the last person then that I will do a reading for. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm glad, Sorsha. I'm glad. Yeah. Oh, it's certainly interesting. I'm glad. I'm glad you find it to be helpful. We love I love the Leo energy. That enthusiasm, the warmth. Love it. So, yes, if anybody does wish to take this slot, you can do so. But if not, we can call it a day. And I will be back, I'm sure, next week, maybe the week after. But I will be going live with some astrology friends on Sunday, so I hope you can tune in. Going to be speaking with Jasmina, Andre, and Sid. We are going to be talking about the astrological new year. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a really great live stream. I'm excited to see what perspectives they have to share. So I think that could be us. If nobody else is wanting to book this evening. Yeah, Leo compliments. Thank you, Sorsha. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad that you were able to get sorted with PayPal, okay? I'm glad you got set up. Bit quiet this evening, perhaps because people are enjoying themselves on a Friday. I think I'm going to stop here. It could be that I'm done for this evening. I will even just edit the title so that it's done so nobody else through. But thank everyone for tuning in. Good session. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. See. Yep. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that, Renee. Thank you for your feedback. Oh, you have, Sorsha. Oh, brilliant. Well, I hope you have found the information to be useful. And that is me. I'm going to get going then because I've updated everything. And I'll probably be back. I'll see what day I'll be back next week. Have to have a think about it. But thank you all to who have booked this evening. Thank you for being here. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And again, I hope that you benefited from your readings. I will talk to you all very soon.